Do you feel underappreciated, unsupported, or depleted? Do you feel like you are giving everything you have to everybody else and everything else in your life, but you're just not getting that back? You are so amazing. You have so much love to give. You care so much for the people you love, and you just want to be there for them, to help them, to support them. Problem is, you're not getting it back. You know you're a good person, and you know you are pouring out the love that you have to give. So why are you not getting it back? And why are you feeling this way? Well, this is something that I've experienced myself, and I've since learned how I got to this point in my life and how, most importantly, to change this, how to get, feel, and receive the love, the appreciation, the respect, and the compassion that you deserve, that you are giving to everyone without question. I promise that if you practice it consistently, it will help you get the results that you are longing for and deserve. So stay tuned, because in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how to begin doing this. I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've done to begin building a relationship with myself, building my own self-worth, my own self-appreciation and self-love, and how this has affected every single relationship in my life, and how the people in my life are showing up for me, and how you can experience the same thing too. If you feel like your relationship or your relationships are not in your life, are not quite where you would like them to be, I want you to consider what I'm about to say, because this has been revolutionary. This has changed everything for me, shifting my focus away from the outside, the external, to the internal, to what's inside me and how I feel about me. What I've realized is everything outside of me is simply a reflection of me, of who I am, of what I think about myself, and of the relationship that I have with myself. That really determines everything. And I spent so long, focusing on everything that my husband was doing or that wasn't doing right. He needs to change this. I need to get him to see things my way. I need to get him to understand me. He is not doing this right. Really just focusing on him and giving all of my energy to him, which was really just depleting me, really just making the whole situation, our relationship, more difficult. It was actually creating more problems. And this is actually something that's quite natural for women to do biologically. We put a lot of importance on our relationships. Because if you think back to early evolution, what was life like? What were the circumstances in which we were living? Well, of course, they were very different than how we live today. Our safety, our survival was basically dependent on men. Maybe not fully dependent on men, but the truth is they are naturally more physically strong than us. Their bodies are built to be strong. They're built in a different way than ours for a reason, because as humans, we have evolved in this way, right? The men were the ones who would go out and hunt. They would be at the front lines protecting the tribe, protecting their family, and the women would typically be at home with their children or just participating in the community, nurturing and supporting the community in that way. And of course, this looks very different nowadays, and it's not about like gender roles. Everybody is different, and our interests and what we like to do or enjoy to do is going to be different. And if you're a woman and you don't really like to cook, I think that's totally fine. If you're a man and you don't want to be the sole provider, I think that's fine as well. It just depends who you are with. But the point is, biologically, we as women, we have been designed by nature to really put importance on our relationships, because our romantic relationships were a way for us to secure the well-being of our family, of our children and of ourselves, right? If the man is providing and bringing home the food and things that we need, the tools, and then we are taking that and, being creative with it and making something beautiful out of it. And if there was some kind of threat to us or to our community, to our family, the man would step up and would take care of it. There's a reason for that. And without going too far into all these details, the point that I'm trying to make here is that we are biologically wired to focus on our relationships and for relationships to be super, super important for us. And so if we're having an issue in a romantic relationship or with a child of ours or even a good friend or family member, it can really weigh on you as a woman. You can be carrying that burden around with you 24/7, and it might not even be yours, but we just care so much for other people. We want to be there, especially for our loved ones, right? To support them, to nurture them. But the thing is, we focus so much on this, on giving our love, on being a caregiver, of nurturing others, that we often forget about ourselves. You've probably heard this analogy before, but it just explains it perfectly. If you are on an airplane and the masks come down, right? The oxygen masks come down. What do they always say? If you're with someone else who's dependent on you, right? With a child, for example, you don't put the mask on the child first, on the dependent first. You put it on yourself first. How can you be there for that child or for that person? How can you support them, care for them, love them, show up for them if you are not okay yourself? The truth is, as much as you tell yourself you can still do it, you're fine, like, you're not going to be there for that person in the same way as you could be if you were there for yourself first. That is the first reason why this is so important. We want to share our love and open our hearts to the loved ones in our life. We want to show them how much we care. But if we're not careful and if we don't give that to ourselves first, we're not going to be able to do that to the best of our ability. And that can cause shame or feelings of, not being enough, or bitterness within ourselves, because we know and we want to give more and we want to be better. We want to be the best versions of ourselves, yet we can't. As much as we try, we keep falling short. And then we begin to feel guilty about that. I want to be a better wife. I want to be like super mom. Maybe even I want to be a business owner, entrepreneur, or have my own career as well. All of these things are great. And I do believe that, done in the right way, prioritizing the fundamental, most important things first, we can have and be successful in all of these areas or in our lives. But it's about going about it, approaching it in a way that is in a feminine way, not the masculine hustle, do way that we've been programmed to operate in, but we're not designed for. And the truth is, when you feel that your partner, your spouse, is not giving you what you need, is not maybe returning the love that you're giving to him, or is simply not showing up for you in the way that you believe that he should, as easy it is to just blame him and look at, all the reasons for why he's behaving this way, his trauma, his past life experiences, everything he has going on, stress, whatever it is. In the end, you really want things to change. You need to know that everything starts with you. How the people in your life show up for you depends on how you show up for you. How the people in your life care for you, speak to you, the respect that they have for you, the appreciation they have for you, the love that they share for you, it is all simply a reflection on how you appreciate yourself, on how you show up for yourself, on how or whether you truly love yourself and are giving yourself that love. You're not just saying it, but you are demonstrating that love for yourself day to day, just as you would like your partner or your spouse to do for you. If you're not doing it for you, why would they do it for you, right? And it makes sense when you think about it that way. But of course, in the moment, we can easily get caught up in these subconscious patterns, or just the busyness and hustle bustle of everyday life, that we lose track of it and we forget, right? We forget to take the time for ourselves. And I'm not really talking about self-care here, at least not the type of self-care that we tend to hear about, right? I'm not talking about having a bubble bath or getting your nails done or anything like that, although those things can be good as well. I'm talking about going deep here, going beyond that, taking a moment to yourself, to just spend time with yourself every day. Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe you're meditating, maybe you're just quiet, sitting silent in nature, maybe you're listening to music or dancing by yourself or writing in your journal, whatever it is, but really spending that time with yourself, not giving your energy to anything else, not to your phone, not to your friends, not to learning something, but just to be with you, to be with yourself and really begin to learn who you are when you do that. Because so many of us, like, I just started doing this recently, and I've realized that I had never done this before. I basically lived my whole life without really ever having developed a relationship with myself, right? And so focused on the relationships in my life, the relationships that are outside of me, but never really even considering my own relationship with me. And once I started to do that consistently, definitely didn't change anything overnight, but once I started to do that consistently and really put myself first and be authentic about how I was feeling, even if I was afraid that it might feel like a burden to my husband or to someone else, to just share that and to be honest about what I want to do in any given situation. Here's a recent example. So my daughter has been in dance classes for the last 4 years or so. This weekend, actually just 2 days ago, we were supposed to go out of town to participate in a national competition. And so while we've been preparing for this, and I had every intention of going to the competition, of taking my daughter and having a great time. But I was realizing in the couple of weeks leading up to it that she didn't seem to be so into it, even though she would tell me, Mom, yes, I like dancing. Yes, I want to go. She was excited for the trip out of town, but something was out of alignment, right? Because when it was time to get ready to go to her dance practice and these things, there would be resistance. And I would notice that she didn't really want to go. She wasn't, she didn't want to get ready. And so even though I tried to encourage her and help her through that, especially for me, wanting her to follow through on her commitment, I realized this just, maybe it's not what she wants anymore. I can't keep forcing her. If she doesn't feel like she wants to go, and conflicts are basically coming up because of this, because I'm trying to encourage her and guide her towards, going, but she's resisting that. It's causing friction within us. Like, what's the point? And so I had a moment with myself thinking, like, what do we do, right? I committed to this. I feel like I should go. I don't want to let the rest of like the team down. I don't want to let, of course, the teacher down. She also says she wants to go, like, and I know she wants to go to the competition, but she's showing me maybe she doesn't want to participate in like dance lessons like this anymore. So anyways, I had to make the decision, right? Like, what is the best for me, for her as well, of course, but just like the mask analogy, I have to come first, regardless of what is best for her, although I did definitely consider that as well. It really came down to me, right? Like, I'm going to be the one who's taking her to the competition. I'm the one who has been taking her to classes and to all these things up until this point. I'm, the one who's supporting her. And like, if I don't feel good with this decision, if I feel like I'm just going just because we said we were going to go, right? Or just going because I feel pressured from the teacher, or because I feel guilty about, the other kids, but it doesn't feel in alignment anymore, right? And it's not actually the best for me anymore. Like, I took a moment to ask myself that. If I wasn't worried about, letting anyone else down or anything else, and I were to just focus on myself for a moment, like, what do I feel is best and what do I need? Do I really want to go? And, the answer I got was no. And so this was something that I had to respect and honor, and that was very hard for me because I'm a recovering people pleaser, you could say. It felt very difficult, and all day I was kind of with that guilt a bit in my heart of, letting down the team. But I knew that I did make the right choice for me and therefore for my daughter as well. So I think this is the type of self-care that I want you to consider integrating into your life and practicing more, because it's really changed everything for me. Really putting yourself first and listening to what is right for me in this moment and doing that no matter what. This is how you develop that loving relationship with yourself. And once you do that consistently, it begins to be reflected out into the world as well. And since I've been, practicing this, I can see the difference. I can see how my husband is now showing up for me in ways that he never has before. I know that he always had this in him, and he's always been this amazing, romantic, loving, caring person. I just wasn't letting it in before. I have to be open to receiving it in order for him to even want to, or like be inspired to give it, right? And I know there has been times in the past where, regardless of my receptiveness or lack thereof, he would still be, showing the love and showing up in the way that he knew how. But I either wouldn't see it, I would overlook it, or just, look straight past it at the thing that I felt was still missing. But, I didn't feel worthy of receiving it. So once I changed that and I started to work on building that sense of self-worth from within, regardless of what's going on outside of me, regardless of what he does or doesn't do, my self-worth is determined by me, right? And just by being born, it's my birthright. It has nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with my daughter or, our relationship, how she's speaking to me. We all have our days. But I used to take things very, very personally and be very upset. My husband and my daughter, who are the two most important people in my life, if they wouldn't do things in a certain way that I expected, right, I would take it very personally. Still a work in progress, but now I don't take it personally because I know my worth. I know I love myself, and I'm showing up for myself every day, proving that. And so that just radiates out and creates a frequency that shifts like what you bring out of other people around you. Everything around you begins to change once you change. So I really hope that if you are going through something, maybe strain in your relationship with your children or a friend, your spouse, I encourage you to look within. Like, if I feel underappreciated, like I'm not receiving the love or the affection that I deserve or the support, why do I feel that way, right? Where is that coming from? What do I really need in this moment? And then give it to yourself. You're going to be vibrating at a different frequency. You're going to be giving off a different energy if you are showing up for yourself first. And I promise you, if you do this consistently, everything else, everyone else in your life will begin to change in alignment with how you view yourself, how you love and respect yourself. Because it really does start with you. It's not about blame or anything. This is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to change it. If you want things to change in your life, it is your responsibility to change yourself first. And it starts by building a relationship with yourself, having grace and patience with yourself, compassion, just like you do for everyone else. Do it for you, and do it for you first.